Good afternoon all, Spike Bandit here and welcome to the channel. Today we are asking the question, is it possible to beat Resident Evil 2 with only the shotgun? So rather than showing you the results, I wanted to do something a little different this time and look at the behind the scenes of creating a challenge like this.
Come behind the scenes!
With a challenge like this, there often isn't a clear route to victory. To know one way or another, it can be important to get into the guts of the game's mechanics. As such, I'm going to deep dive into a few key sections that could stump us and skipping anything that can be reasonably easily solved.
Ignore.
I'm also approaching this script a little differently from usual by writing it as I'm recording it to give you a better look at the challenges faced as I first encounter them. Last up before we get into this, the rules. No non-mandatory weapons other than the shotgun. No secondary items. Hardcore difficulty unless that is deemed impossible. We'll also be playing the game on second run so that we have to deal with the G5 boss fight. Okay, let's get to it.
Excellent!
So going into this challenge, I know it is about having enough shotgun shells to get through each boss fight and a few spare to deal with tricky enemies like Ivy zombies. I'm reasonably confident that there will be enough ammo to get through the game, but a lot of it won't be accessible early enough, which could be a real problem. In terms of testing, I first identified the sections that would require some analysis, namely G1, G3 and G5. G2 is relatively easy to take out without firing a single shot, so I'm not considering him. And the Super Tyrant fight is mostly about staying alive. We might need a few shells to stun him, but I can't see this being the thing that breaks the run. Also, being that we have completed a number of challenges at this point, I think I can safely say that we know how to dodge a few zombies. I'm going to enjoy some of the unlocked weapons for the game for the sake of getting to the meat of this challenge quickly. Our first interesting encounter will be the G1 fight, for which we should note a couple of things. Firstly, we have 28 shotgun shells, which is the maximum possible available at this point, having mixed all the yellow gunpowder available with regular gunpowder. In reality, this is one more than I would have liked to have mixed, as it actually means you have less ammo overall for the entire run. The best bang for buck you can get with shotgun shell crafting is to mix a yellow gunpowder with a large gunpowder, so I always want to do that if possible. In this scenario, there will be 7 yellow gunpowders left in the game and 8 large gunpowders, so we are missing out on one mix. I doubt that this will matter since the last 2 large gunpowders aren't available until the G5 boss fight, at which point I'm really hopeful we won't have an ammo shortage.
Last of it! We're out of ammo!
Secondly, you can see an overlay showing some useful information. For those who haven't seen this before, this is a speedrunning tool that I'll link in the description. Basically, it allows me to get some real-time feedback about the damage I'm doing and helps me to work out any weak spots or immunity windows on the enemies. It admittedly barely works for me, with it consistently not updating in real time, but it still helps. We go into this first fight fairly blindly, with the focus being to simply land as many full blasts as we can to see if he goes down, and if not, at least see how close we can get. I unload every last shell into him and suffer a fair few blows since we have to get up close and personal with him. Unfortunately, he doesn't go down, and he has a whole lot of health left. I tried again, focusing on headshots, and it is clear that these do more damage, but still nowhere near enough. On the next attempt, I tried to take shots on his arm eye when it is visible, and again it does increase damage, but the result is still a bad loss. So at this point I turned to some damage tables available online from people way smarter than me who have actually done in-depth research into the game. When looking at this information, there are 3 things to consider: the difficulty adjustment, the weapon you're using, and the enemy you are facing. The difficulty adjustment can be seen on the tool overlay, and it is basically a grade bound number determined by how well you're playing. On hardcore, the number can be between 8,000 and 12,999, which actually translates to a grade 8 or 9. Generally speaking, the lower the grade, the more damage you deal, and the less you take. Unfortunately, this isn't terribly relevant to us at the moment, since the damage you deal doesn't actually change between grades 8 and 9, so there isn't anything we can affect here. The weapon damage is interesting though. For the shotgun, damage comes in 2 forms: impact and pellet damage. There is a flat damage dealt at the centre of the blast, and the game then models the path of 8 separate pellets, with each dealing a small amount of damage on impact. It should be obvious, but we want all the pellets to connect, meaning we want to be at point blank range when we fire. The enemy stats are interesting in that they tell us how much health G1 has, what his weak points are, and what his resistances are. They tell us that we will do the most damage by shooting them in the head or the arm eye from point blank range. But even if we do that, we won't do much damage, since G1 has huge shotgun resistance. Specifically 70% pellet resistance and 80% impact resistance. If we do the calculations, then we find that the maximum damage a single blast can do is 154. With rounding, this requires 33 perfect shotgun blasts, which we simply couldn't land even if we had enough ammo. Now technically speaking, the game does allow shotgun blasts to crit doing 2.67 times damage, which would make this possible, but I couldn't find any information on the crit rate. This is technically possible, but it would require all of our blasts to still be perfect. I tried a few more times and didn't see any evidence of us getting critical shots. Even on our best run, where we seemed to nail every shot, we only did a little over 3,500 damage, and we simply cannot make up that difference.
Failed.
Okay, so that's enough evidence for me to declare this challenge impossible on hardcore difficulty. But since I was here anyway, I thought we might as well carry on to test the rest of the game. If we could complete the rest of the game on hardcore, having spent all of our current ammo in this fight, then that's proof enough to me that the rest of the game would be possible on a lower difficulty.
Okay, right, that makes sense.
We spend our ammo, then finish G1 off with a couple of rockets before moving on. We head to the sewers, dodging the Krog and then spending a shell on him. Then as promised, dodge our way to victory against G2. Our journey through the lab is smooth enough, but I do make sure we have the shotgun with us to deal with any mandatory Ivy zombies, with us spending 6 rounds in total. We go into the G3 fight with loads of ammo, 62 shells to be exact. We have a single yellow gunpowder stash for now, so if ammo does become a problem, then we may have a way out. He starts with 15,000 health, which translates to 54 perfect shotgun blasts on his eyes. I can't see us landing that many perfect shots, and anything that misconnects will be reduced by at least 50% damage. The plan is to take advantage of popping the boss's eyes. If we pop all 3 eyes, then wait for him to get back up, his health will have immediately dropped to the next threshold, saving us some ammo. The 2 thresholds are around 10,000 and 6,000 health, although I couldn't actually find any information on how much health each of the eyes individually have, so I'm not really sure how much ammo popping these eyes will actually save. Still, they are the best target regardless of whether or not we pop them, since they don't have global damage resistance unlike the rest of his body. I'm estimating between 8 and 12 shells will get him down from 15,000 to 6,000 health by using this knowledge. In the second phase, he has a cluster of eyes on his chest, so the target is pretty easy. It should only take 21 blasts from there, but I don't expect that to happen for a second. I'm thinking 25 to 30 will finish the job in reality. So I played terribly, and I mean terribly.
Terrible job. I know.
Getting the living hell beaten out of me and burning through an unbelievable amount of healing. With having to be so close to him, I just couldn't get his rhythm down at all in my first attempt. I also missed quite an embarrassing number of shots. All that being said though, we did take him down first try, using 50 rounds. This is a lot higher than I had predicted, but it still left us with 12 rounds. Knowing what's ahead, I'm fairly comfortable that we will get through the next section, although we may not have enough ammo left for G5. The route to the Super Tyrant involves a couple more Ivies that require a shell each. The Super Tyrant himself will require 2 to 3 blasts to stop his insta-kill attacks, although we might be able to save a shell by using the rubble to deflect him. He is easy enough to deal with, although I do miss one shot and need to double fire, wasting a shell. We spend 3 shells, then blow him up with a mandatory rocket, power through some zombies, and reach the train to face G5. We approach this fight with 12 shells available, having crafted the last 6 in the game using the gunpowder we saved. This fight could either be really easy or really hard.
Could go either way.
He takes very little damage initially, but his damage reduction falls through the floor as he gets close to the end of the carriage. While 12 rounds shouldn't be able to get through his 10,000 hit points in theory, I'm hoping that if we simply unload into him close to the last moment before he eats us, then he should go down easily enough. And thankfully, I'm right to think that, as he goes down without giving us any pause. So we know that the run is just about possible on hardcore, with G1 being the only stumbling block. It's unfortunate, but I guess you can't win them all. I'm expecting G1 to be entirely possible in standard difficulty though, so let's prove that before wrapping things up. Back with G1, we go to town on him, taking advantage of headshot stunts. He isn't much of a threat, and we do a load of damage, more than any attempts on hardcore, but he still doesn't go down with the available ammo. On standard difficulty, the difficulty adjustment can range from 3,000 to 8,999, and thankfully we went into this fight at maximum value, meaning we have lots of room to spare. In theory, we could be doing 50% more damage, so I feel pretty confident at this stage. After letting ourselves die, we come back in with a score in the 5,000s and go to town. It isn't the cleanest of fights, and we certainly waste a few rounds, but we are able to down them with 2 shotgun shells to spare. So I think we've done enough to prove that this game can be beaten using only the shotgun, albeit only on standard or assisted difficulties. As to actually completing the run, well, I think I'll leave that as a challenge for you guys to take on. If you are looking for a fun, not too tough challenge, then this is a good one to try. On standard difficulty, you will definitely have ammo to spare for dealing with some of the regular enemies, so it shouldn't be too grueling. If you do take on the challenge, let me know how you get on. It would be great to know if there are any other tough sections that I didn't consider in this analysis. In the meantime, if you need an intense challenge fix, why don't you check out the video linked on screen? That one is a real doozy. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.